Hey, what's up YouTube? This is the We All Juggle Knives channel. Okay, I have two announcements to make. The first announcement, the knife in here was sent to me by Extrema Ratio. Extrema Ratio is an Italian company that makes knives, okay? And because of YouTube rules, I'm obligated to announce that they sent me a knife. Okay, so they sent me a knife. The second announcement, Extrema Ratio started a new company, Extrema Ratio USA, which is going to be the US branch of the Italian company, okay? And so that's why they sent out a bunch of knives to reviewers, because they wanted us to announce that, okay? So I'm announcing it. There's a new website, it's called Extrema Ratio USA. So in the future, if you're in America, you do not have to order all the way from Italy to order Extrema Ratio. You can just order from Extrema Ratio USA and your knife will ship from inside the USA. I believe their headquarters is in New York. Okay, so those are the two announcements. Now, as for this knife, check this out, man. I've always said when your knife has its own luggage, or at least a really nice case, that's a good thing. Alright, so let's check out this knife. The unboxing experience. Now I have to warn you, this knife has wings. Check that out. It's got wings. Right there's the sheath. Try to make a thumbnail. That's crazy. Yeah, every knife has a story, and this one in particular has a story. A little bit about this knife. The Ermes is the commemorative knife designed with the Special Operative Helicopter Regiment, which is part of the Italian Army Aviation. Rios is the operational unit of helicopters supporting the special forces of the Italian military. The stylized knife guards represent the wings present in the heraldic symbol of the regiment. So this knife is actually a commemorative knife that was commissioned to honor an elite aviation regiment of the Italian military that works with the Italian Special Forces. So in fact, this regiment would be the equivalent of what we have in America, what we call the Night Stalkers, which is our aviation unit that works with our Special Forces, okay? So these are like the Italian Night Stalkers. These are the elite of the elite. Now, more about those wings. First of all, I heard all kinds of crazy things. Somebody was saying it was from Warhammer 40K. That symbology goes to the elite forces of many nations, including, well, for example, you have the SAS with the wings there. You've got the French Foreign Legion, again with the wings. And you've got the US Army Airborne, also with the wings. And of course, the Italian Special Operations Unit that this commemorates. So basically the wings occur again and again and again in the history and symbology of elite military units. Extrema Ratio actually manufactures military knives for the Italian military as well as the French military. The translation Extrema Ratio, it means the final remedy or the ultimate remedy. And I think you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the use of force, right? Whether military force or just a one-on-one confrontation, right? So Extrema Ratio, I have to say, like their product line, they just have a bewildering variety of deadly looking things, from commando type daggers to more like survival tools. They have a karambit, they have trench knives, including with the knuckles. I'm pretty familiar with this brand. Here is my current collection of Extrema Ratio knives. That's the T-Razor. All right, the T-Razor. That other folder is the Dark Talon. All right, the Dark Talon. And that fixed blade, that is their Mark 2.1 combat knife. It's kind of their take on a K-Bar USMC style of knife as far as the size and blade shape. And the newest one The Ermes. That's pretty sweet, right? Yeah, as you can tell, you know, that's inspired by the famous USMC K-bar. Okay, and once again, if that's the insurgent, right, the stump of truth, this has extreme piercing ability. Right? Sorry for the squeaking noise. Alright. Alright, so the official name of this knife. Well, first of all, because I am a barbaric American that is not cultured, I had to look up how to pronounce the name of this knife. According to Google, it is pronounced Ermes, right? Ermes, and that's according to Google. So if I mess that up, that's their fault. As a barbaric American, I would tend to pronounce it like Ermes. I think that's how many Americans would pronounce it. But yeah, that's the official name of the knife. So they made this knife extra thick for the reasons we discussed. However, it is still very sharp, and if you're downed aircrew, you might have to cut yourself free of various entanglements, right? So, as you can see, this cuts right through. Yeah, so if you have to cut yourself free, this is a seatbelt type strap. Yeah. Alright, so it comes very sharp. Somebody asked me about cutting a zip tie. Well, probably. Yeah. Alright, so as you saw, it's pretty sharp for a thick blade. I'm not going to do the paper test because it's too thick and broad to be good for paper. It's just not that type of knife. This is meant for the enemy, or just cutting entanglements, or like prying yourself out of a downed aircraft. So I find the backstory of this knife actually fascinating, just you know, because it commemorates that special aviation unit. I do have a special place in my heart for all the special forces all around the world, because when I was about like 20 years old, one of my best instructors, self-defense instructors, was actually a retired Special Forces veteran, a U.S. Special Forces, and he taught me a lot. Okay, he taught me a lot. He was around my dad's age, right? And yeah, that was a great guy. All the stuff you hear about the Special Forces, it's true. If you support stuff like, oh, I don't know, the military, Special Forces, weapons, and various toxic masculinity, leave a comment for me. Engagement really helps circulate the videos. Okay, so if you have time, you can leave me a comment. All right, you guys know, my family is a military family. My ancestors fought in wars. Now this knife right here is a fairly rare knife. It's a Sheffield Scorpion. Let's compare, because I knew I saw that type of blade in another knife in my collection before. Now this knife is no longer made, but yeah, Sheffield, where is that? It's a Scorpion. Sheffield, England. Check that out. Yeah, but kind of the same idea, right? These blade, right? Kind of the same idea. You see that? Yeah, check that out. Yeah, it's like Big Brother. I wish they still made this, but no, they don't. Now this one is sharpened on this back edge, and yeah, I don't know why they don't make this anymore. I guess it was just too evil. I mean, you can tell what this is for. All right, it's got that. Yeah, this is one of my favorite knives. So that like extra wide, extra stout piercing design, that does crop up from time to time, right? Again and again, and for much the same reasons, because it's good for making people go to their forever sleep. Yeah, this is wide and thick. It's just very stout. Yeah, check that out. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is like Puggio territory. Am I saying that right? Puggio was a type of Roman dagger that was extra wide, and you know, it makes a wider wound, right? That's just a fact. It's just a physical fact. Okay, don't get offended, but it makes a wider wound, right? Now the steel on this is the Böhler N690, which is an Austrian stainless steel, and basically Austria is right north of Italy, so it's widely available and it's often used in Extrema ratio knives. I have many knives with that steel, and it's always served me quite well. There's a lot of debate, like what would it be equivalent to? Well, you can check out the forums and see who you believe, but basically it's very rust resistant, and I don't know, that steel has always worked well for me, right? So it's yeah, it's an Austrian Böhler stainless steel. Here's a look at the sheath. The sheath has a tie down right there. You can see how they've done that. It's got loops there. It's got 2 button closures there. It's molded to the knife. And this was very tight. You can tell that, you know, they don't want this to fall out if you're on your commando mission. All right, so that's the sheath. It does hold it. All right. Now I did look up some video reviews of this knife, and I did see some commenters in those reviews basically hating on the knife because they just don't like the styling. They just don't like those guards. Okay, well, I mean, I can kind of see what you're saying, but on the other hand, I really think people are just so uptight these days. They're afraid to like anything cool. You know what I mean? They're afraid to like anything, oh, it's just so over the top. Yeah, it's supposed to be. How many Special Forces guys have you known? I've known quite a few, right? I mean, yeah, they are quiet professional operators, but when they're partying, you know, they're not known for their humility, especially if you want to talk trash to them, they'll show you what's what. Right? So yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to like something cool. You know what I'm saying? And as I said, styling or not, if you stick this into the bad guy, it's going to be their worst day, and it's also going to be their last day on this beloved Earth.